Okay, so my name is Kristian and my garden is called the Yin Yang Garden. So my site is located in Richmond Hill, Ontario on the Oak Ridges Moraine, and it's on a conservation area. And it's also on the lands of the Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe people. So this area has many trails. There's an elementary school in the area and also a community center. This is just my context plan with just my proposed footing of my garden. So when I went to my site, as you can see, it's just a flat piece of land and it's being prepared for development. And it's at the southwest corner of this main intersection. So while walking into the site, I noticed there also wasn't a sense of privacy because of the backyards, which face directly onto the site. So it felt like I was actually intruding on people's property, which made me feel uncomfortable. So I just wanted to sketch out more problems or different things I observed. So I observed that the traffic was a bit loud, and also I noticed there were birds coming from the conservation area, and they were going on to across the road onto the hydro poles. And also other observations I made, I just sketched them out here. So I felt this space, it had potential to be a healing garden, especially in these COVID times, because the community here will have a garden to like relieve the symptoms of anxiety and depression. And this will especially benefit the community because of the reoccurring city lockdowns that keep happening, especially in York Region area. And there's been a rise and need to go outside for exercise and mental stimulation. So I wanted to explore the phenomenon of the impact of biophilia and its impacts on mental well-being. So my design statement is to create a meditation garden that will serve as a therapy for people with anxiety. And the program will calm their nervous system and stimulate their senses. And the therapy garden would include aromatherapy. So it would have tactile shrubs and trees along paths. And this kind of therapy was used in ancient times. Like lavender and sandalwood was used for antibacterial healing, but also the smell of it tied into spiritual cleansing because of the relaxing healing effects. And this is also seen in coniferous tree oils, which is also used as aromatherapy. And scent also triggers memory, which is like therapy in itself. And also I wanted to include a bird garden because it's proven that observing birds and learning about birds while bird watching has become tied to practicing mindfulness. And also I wanted to include the contemplation garden. So it would just be an open meandering space that brings visual stimulation and order. Because in psychology, when we see that something's visually in order, we feel pleasure. And also I wanted to have that idea of taking dwarf shrubs, which was used in ancient Chinese gardens, as a form and medium for meditation. So I just asked myself different questions in my process. Like maybe I can have like an easy wayfinding to tie all these programs together, or have a sense of openness and enclosure, or have a material and color palette that would calm people. And also my iterative process was just sketching on top of the plan, like different ways I can arrange the planting. And I also realized it looked like a yin yang symbol, which is why I called it yin yang. So yeah, I started using that form just to inspire new different spaces. So half of it is the bird garden and the other half is the contemplation garden. And also I wanted to explore in elevation, if I can change the topography to solve these problems I had on my site. Also, like maybe I could create these spaces to be more intimate and meditative. And my site plan, this is it. And this is just like my labels of the different spaces I have. There's 2 entrances, and then this is the bird garden with 3 meditation spaces, and then the contemplation garden. So this axonometric just shows different massing I had for ground cover, mowed grass, mounds of dwarf shrubs, and like viewing spaces like perennials and ornamental grasses. And my plant palette includes different kinds of aromatic conifer shrubs and trees. And I also labeled some important scents that were described in each of these plants. I also wanted to focus, so half of my palette is like contemplation and more ornamental, and the other half is like providing the required vertical stratification for bird gardens. So I tried to keep both of those in mind, kind of like informal and formal. And these are just a few of the understory trees I chose for the vertical stratification, which is cornelian cherry, staghorn sumac, and witch hazel. So they attract different kinds of birds like cardinals and robins. And also the sumac tree, the berries stay on during the winter. So you will see cardinals in the winter time because they eat those berries as like a last resort. And also other shrubs for the lower shrub layer, just some native ground cover and shrubs, just to provide like that, the required layers. And for my contemplation garden, it's just a mix of, it's just like I wanted open space and also meandering space. And the plants I used here were just the dwarf conifers, which can be touched. And a lot of the smells are like citrus and apple and pineapple and turpentine smell. So those are important smells. And they're also used in like aromatherapy oils. And also beyond that, there is the wind garden, which has ornamental grasses and perennials. And this is the east entrance. I wanted to kind of have the conifer shrubs at the front of the entrance, and then as you go more inside, you'll have like the more fragrant ones that might be sensitive for people that aren't actually going in the garden. They're just like walking past. So as you go in, you would get that kind of shrubs like lilac and the more floral scented shrubs. But at the start, it would be like juniper and Douglas fir, which would be soft to touch and to smell. And yeah, that's it.